Hi there, this is Kyle Jane, A2 Media, and this is my QuickTime video / screen capture on the editing process of my radio drama. Sound effects, so check where I got the sound effects from the library, and then editing and sound envelopes, and then maybe a brief summary of the drama, and other bits that are relevant. So if I come across the sound effects, I'll explain why it was put in, maybe why an effect was added, what that gives to the radio drama, essentially. First I'll start with how it begins on Soundtrack Pro. First, you import it all, and it sort of all comes out on one track. So all my audio files, which would be this one, and this one, so those three tracks that I've just showed you, would all have been bunched on one. So you'd play them through continuously, they'd be right next to each other, they might not sound right, they need to be edited. So my first thing to do would be to do that. I separated each track from the other, and then color coded them. So I'll show you, for example, on this one, this voice clip here. So there you go. That was actually in Dr. Holmwood. So I wanted that to be on the second line, so I moved it down and changed its color. I changed the colors of every separate track just to make it more organized, more easy to understand. You want to edit Dr. Holmwood's lines, you just look, second track, red. Easy enough. Same with that one. Obviously that's track one just there, and I would have named it after which character's speaking, which in this case was Nurse Catherine. So each track has an individual name, even the sound effects, just so you really know what's going on, essentially. So it's much easier in the editing process. I'll talk about the sound effects now briefly and where they came from. So you've got like the stock sound effects first, which is these two down that I'm circling are stock sound effects. And they come from this little section at the side. You've got the search bar there, so you can search for a sound effect. If I type in gun, you've got a gun rifle shot. And then you've also got keywords that you can click on. I can go animals, I've got an alligator, I've got a bear roaring, impact, you've got all sorts of things there. So there's plenty of sound effects there to use. I also utilise soundtracks from other areas. So on our group transfer, we've also got a section here with added on sound effects. I didn't use any of these, anyone, but they were an option. Ones that I did utilise though was from a website called freesound.org. So it's royalty-free sound effects that anyone can use. It doesn't matter what your drama's for. It can be commercial, it can be free time like this one. You're allowed to use them essentially. So I got a sound effect from this one. I think it was the scream that I bought from this one, just because the stock one was very generic. It didn't sound good, and I wanted it to be the best it could in the drama. So that's that one. That's where the sound effects come from. Editing sound effects themselves, I'll talk about effects first. Just there's quite a good example in this section in the ambient. On the ambient sound, I'll just play it just so you can get a brief idea of what it is. Let me just ramp up the volume just because it's very. So you've got that. It's sort of like it's meant to be like an underlying sound in the drama. It's not really, it's obviously you can see the original volume is really low. So it's sort of like a creepy underline. I added it to create tension. You can sort of hear the sound, but not what's going on. For example, I'll point out that Unwell 1, as I've named it, is through the left ear, and the second one's through the right ear. So you've got each sound playing through a different ear. I'll talk about that just in a bit. I'll just show you the effects process on it. So if we click on this track here, go on effects, you've also got details, which are your main details, tracks, list of tracks, analysis, sort of all that's going on, and actions that you've taken. I'll just briefly explain that one. So I'll click on effects now. Excuse me. And you've got a list of the effects there, so you can add on a delay, you've got the equaliser to pump up the volume, get the sound perfect as you want. I've used distortion, just a regular distortion, not like a bit crusher or anything. So you can add it with a cross, you can take effect as well with the minus symbol. If you go on advanced, under parameter, you can edit things. You can do the drive, you can do the output, you can do the tone and the hertz. Now this is what I wanted to mention. I've lowered the hertz on each sound because the brain can only recognise a certain frequency, and the lower it is, the weirder it is to the brain. So when it's playing at 30 hertz, it's really underlying your ear. So that's the Unwell 1 in the left ear is 30 hertz. Just to show you, if I go to this one, advanced, that one's 72 hertz. So each one's playing at a sort of different level. So they sound conflicting. So sort of in the background, you got a conflicting sound. So you sort of be leaning in. Well, this is the effect I was going for. You sort of lean and go, oh, what's that sound? It's a bit, it sort of gets you on the tense. You know, it makes you it makes you unnerved. You sort of, it sort of fits the theme of the radio drama. That's essentially why it was added. I'll now talk about the sound envelopes within the drama. We'll pick Nurse Catherine's line as an example, just because it sort of goes up and down. I'll just check. Actually, no, we'll do the hospital sounds. It's a far better example and your best example. What is, you click on the little triangle there and it'll pop up this little thing where you've got show envelopes and you've got other things that you can show. You can enable other things. It's just advanced sort of under options, if that makes sense. So this is the envelope, your sound envelope. So you've got your volume, you've got your base volume what it starts at, so whatever you've set it to. I'll set down to low to start. So it starts low. And then plot in here by clicking. You can drag and change the sound. As you can see, it's moving there. So when it gets to just over 30 seconds in our drama, it'll go slightly higher. And then, 35 seconds, it goes higher more. And then you can increase it or decrease it to create tension or whatever effects you're going for, really. I will play this, but it's incredibly quiet, so you might not be able to hear it that well. Now, I don't know if you can hear it, just because it starts off low. It's meant to be very quiet in the drama. And obviously, recording this, it will be really quiet. But I'll just talk through it to briefly explain it. So, as it's going along, the volume's getting louder and louder. I added this in the drama to increase the tension. It's the part where Amy finds out. It's the part where Nurse Catherine finds out Amy's ill. So she's getting more and more distraught. Her heart's going faster. It's further to create tension in the drama. You've also got pan, which is where you can play it from one ear to the other. So you've got left, you've got right. So you can play it. Starts at the left ear, goes for the right. Sort of like goes for your head sort of effect. I did do that on the ambience, but obviously I used those nozzles there instead. Just a different way of doing it. It produces a different effect in the end. I'll also briefly talk about the sound effects and why they were included. Obviously, you've got the vocal tracks, hospital ambience, which of course is set in a hospital, so they were needed. I've talked about why I added the ambience. You've got the standard sound effects now, like walking down, footsteps, breathing, heartbeats, heart monitors. There's a female breath at the end. They're all just to add more realism. Obviously, when she's walking down a corridor, you need sound to portray that. Of course, it's a lot more difficult because you've not got that visual. So you've got to put in footsteps, doors opening, which I think is which would be that clip there. That's doors added in. You've got screams. Obviously, we could have got an actress to record a scream, but we found out that wasn't working. So I didn't use the stock one. I used the one from the website I previously showed you, so I get the best scream. Because that actress, she couldn't quite scream like we wanted. We took the one from the website to make, obviously, the perfect thing. And also at the end, I've added in music just to add that suspense, build the tension. And I find music in the radio drama is a really nice touch. I mean, like an ending, bits where you want suspense. I mean, that's called suspenseful music. It just really builds and adds to it. I mean, music's invoke emotion, so when the music kicks in, the audience is just like, oh, this bit's going down, or, oh, that's really sad. Like in our ending scene that Ellis has edited, we all decided, because our drama's called Last Flowers, we added the song Last Flowers by Radiohead. And it's a really emotional song about death. So we added that in just to invoke that feeling. It's the bit where he's reading the letter at the end to his wife, and it just really cuts across just how beautiful, how moving it is, really creates the sadness. I'm Kyle Jane A2, and that's the end of my video. Thank you.